This is not reset.
It's showtime!
Showtime, CFM Radio. Drix, how are
Yo,
you tonight?
yo, dude, I'm doing pretty good, man. Been having a lot of fun playing games, and hearing about all the crazy things that are happening. It's actually interesting to pay attention to. At least here at CFM Radio, this is my kind of news.
CFM Radio, we definitely are into the weeds and the industry business going on today. Today we're actually going to take a little bit step back from the industry stuff. We're going to touch on it a little bit, but we're actually going to go more into the games. That's what people want to like. That's what people like. That's what people want to play. That's what we're all about as gamers. Drix, you told us last week you were playing Diablo 4. Do you have a verdict?
If I had to put it out of 5 right now, I'd probably give it a 4.
Solid.
Yeah, definitely solid. And my gripes, could be personal or based on experience. But yeah, it depends on your expectations going into it, but it's a lot of fun. And some of the things I've noticed are like getting up the skill tree. You have pretty much 3 options and you got to commit to either one. There's not a lot of room for like mixing and matching stuff. And there's a lot of like trial and error, and you pretty much have to expect to respec your character and like spend the in-game currency, the coin, to just try every possible combination of only 6 abilities. And just where I'm coming from is like I enjoyed Final Fantasy 14 a lot, and I'm sure there's other like World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, MMO fans out there. And if I'm not mistaken, like you could just assign a bunch of hotkeys and abilities in Diablo 2 and just play the keyboard to its maximum potential.
Totally, absolutely.
I mean, it's not like one of the harder cons, but it's just kind of been my experience. Like, yeah, okay, we're gonna make 6 abilities work, and I guess that rounds off a little easier for PvP action, because there's only so many combos, and it's not like a contest of input between
sense.
Like you and another player.
That totally makes sense. Like a fighting game, yeah.
Yeah, and also I'm playing on PS4. So somebody said I was in the 1800s earlier, because I'm still on PS4, and I was like, oh, shocked. But yeah, and some of the I don't know, it's not super. The cutscenes are amazing, but the visuals, sort of in game, I think it's hard to sell an isometric game, in a trailer and be like, oh yeah, all this cool stuff's gonna happen, and then show the camera.
Yeah, I think that you have a point.
It's just stuck up here, and it's like, okay, well, that's not as entertaining as the cutscene, but
when it boils down to it, the moment-to-moment gameplay and playing with friends, because last time you said you were playing a lot socially, so playing with friends, that's like what you come for. But there are lulling moments, from what I'm understanding, of like, all right, gang, let's stop and respec our characters.
That has definitely occurred playing with my friends. And what I was getting at with the visuals, because even though I'm playing on PS4, like some of the animations seem kind of like, I don't know, reused or uninspired. And I've only played as the Necromancer, and I'm pretty much up the skill tree. I don't know how long it's going to take to get to the prestige skill tree and what lies in wait for that. But I have to use one of my skill slots just for skeletons. I have to use another one for the golem, and then that really restricts my what my actual necromancer can do. But it's a good time, and I've experienced it. But some of the animations seem kind of like reused or just a little recycled. And like I went with blood. I was like, okay, I want to do blood magic. I'm going to commit to blood after, a good amount of trial and error.
Right. Respecking.
But I'm like, yeah, this blood, I don't know. Maybe it'll look better on a PS5, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
So, like, if you're going to play the game, spring for the better hardware. The one that runs a little bit better.
That time.
Yeah.
I could be just a fool on old hardware.
Sure.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, whether they spent a ton of time on the animations and stuff. But the difficulty. It doesn't. Diablo's that kind of game where, like, I guess they used to say it didn't get fun until you've beaten it. You're playing on nightmare mode now, and it's just I don't know. It's tough to measure, like, am I having more fun because this enemy takes more hits to kill? Like, am I enjoying this? Or, am I just trying to beat it to get to the harder difficulty to try to enjoy it more?
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, one of the biggest parts about Diablo that I really loved, especially when it comes right down to like bail runs and all those like old school Diablo 2 stuff, is that, when you get that sense of power, like you just overpower the enemy just completely. And it's like, all right, doesn't matter if it's Nightmare Bale. We're going to go in there. There's 5 of us and we're all just going to blow him up and he's going to get nuked and die. And we're going to grab a bunch of cool stuff. Like, that's Diablo,
soloing is a different game.
Yeah, soloing, totally different game. Like, are you playing a lot solo?
I have been, actually. Yeah. I was getting into it, and it's fun, but it gives you more time to do the respecs. So it just gives it that feeling that, is this just a race to like the level cap so we can all hang out in PvP? Or
interesting. Okay.
Don't let any other gaming habits influence how you feel. But what is it?
Interesting. Okay. So is the sense of reward really even there when you're playing at this level, or is that looming over your head kind of like a daunting your experience a bit?
Yeah, I guess you could say like the meta,
Yeah, the meta.
and that's fun to get into to a degree, but yeah, it just depends on your whole energy level and what you want to put into it.
Yeah.
But I love crawling through dungeons with my friends, and that's what it is.
Hell yeah. So Diablo 4, moment-to-moment gameplay, great, but make sure you got friends.
Yippee-yay, there'll be no wedding bells for today.
The game that I did end up playing a lot, because I was mostly on the road and not at my house, was the Pikmin 4 demo. The demo is meaty. So once you, there is a score that you can hit of 1500, they call it Sparklium, which is the points you get from the treasures you collect.
Okay.
And after 1500, the demo's over, because 1500 unlocks the next level for the main game. So and your save progress, your save carries over from the demo into the main game. So you hit that cap and then the demo's over. What you can do, and what I did, is I did that. I got a bunch of Sparklium, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see what happens if I just push it. And if you push the demo, you can get about a chunky 4.5 hours out of it.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good time. I remember having a lot of fun just going around and gathering all the artifacts or trying to gather everything in one go, like it's Tony Hawk in the original Pikmins.
I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, Drix, this Pikmin game. I'm a Pikmin fanatic. I love Pikmin. I'm a big Pikmin fan because I love RTS games. And,
yeah.
And Pikmin is just such a unique RTS. If you're an RTS fan and you've never played Pikmin, I highly recommend you play Pikmin, because it's just such a different take on the genre. It's very user-friendly and it's very beginner-friendly, but I feel like this is accessibility done right.
Yep. It's made into art.
Yeah, it's very, very good. You could play the first 2 games on Switch that you could download them now. Like, there's a bundle you get, Pikmin 1 and 2 for $50. Both games are $30. So you could play all 3 Pikmin games on Switch. Pikmin 1, 2, 3. And then on Pikmin 4 comes out July 21st. But I gotta tell you, Drix, going back to the Pikmin 4 demo, you get, like, it's a demo, so I'm not going to worry about spoilers or anything like that. So if you get 100% in the Sun Speckled Terrace, which is the first area of the demo, you can get all 3 types of basic Pikmin, red, blue, yellow. You can get a ton of ice Pikmin. They're brand new. They're really, really cool. They freeze enemies. They freeze water. It's really awesome. You experience the Dandori battles, which are essentially like it's like a PvP thing. Like, you go up against an AI opponent who also is controlling Pikmin, and one of the little, like, the new dog. I'll talk about him in a minute, but they also have a dog, and you have to compete gathering treasure. Whoever gets the most treasure wins.
I got spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle, jingle, jangle, as I go riding merrily along. Jingle, jangle, and they sing, oh, ain't you glad you're single? Jingle, jangle, and that song ain't so very far from wrong.
And I gotta talk about the dog, Ochi. Drix, if I told you there's an armored personnel carrier in Pikmin, and like, and I just told it to you like that, you'd probably be like, whoa.
Oh man, but I've also seen some footage of that adorable little puppy launching Pikmin onto one of those familiar enemies, and yeah, no, I've already visually confirmed you have an armored Pikmin carrier.
Yes.
In the new Pikmin game.
the Ochi, the APC, is such a cool addition to the Pikmin franchise, because he's so cool, because you can not only throw Pikmin from him, you can charge your enemy. When you charge the enemy and collide with him, all of your Pikmin leap from Ochi's back onto the enemy, and they just attack him all at once. You can ride on Ochi. You can use Ochi to like upgrade for upgrades, and like my Ochi by the end of the demo had the strength of 10 Pikmin, so he was carrying a bunch of stuff. By the end of this demo, Drix, I was playing kind of StarCraft style, because I was like, I'm riding Ochi over here. We're gonna kill this guy. We're gonna bring it back over here. Now I'm gonna jump behind him, grab that treasure. Now we're gonna run over here. I'm gonna run all the way over here, beat this big enemy really fast as I can. And now I'm gonna move the base. And then I'm gonna dismount Ochi. He's gonna go gather up all my idle Pikmin. He's gonna bring him back. I'm gonna meet him halfway, and then we're gonna do this dungeon together.
Hoo-wee!
It's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time with your good old boy.
It's so cool. It's such a cool experience. If you've never played Pikmin before, I highly recommend you download and play the Pikmin 4 demo. You make your own character.
Huh. You customize your little astronaut there, huh?
Yeah, you make your own character, and it's so awesome. It's such a great time. I'm having a great time playing it. I can't wait for July 21st. Right before we jump into the music here, one last thing I want to touch on is, again, I'm a big StarCraft 2 player. I'm a big RTS fan. Pikmin 4, it edges you closer, even closer into the traditional RTS fold, because it introduces troop capacity, it introduces a tech tree, it introduces different equipment for your astronaut and the dog Ochi. Like, you have so many correlations between the traditional RTS and this new accessible Pikmin game. It's so great. It's one of the coolest things as an RTS fantasy.
My name is Mike. Come on, let's roll karaoke. Get up on the stage and sing a little bit for me. Oh, me, no, not me. I'm a karaoke machine.
CFM Radio! We're rocking out!
Yeah! Go on and get you some. The Sega Rally for the Sega Saturn.
Sega Rally, we love it. You know, Drix, Sega Saturn, one of my favorite childhood consoles. Big time flop, but has a lot of amazing games.
And music.
Absolutely. CD quality.
Yeah, that was a big step, especially for songs and sound.
Yeah, especially for games.
Yes.
Now, I've been talking about it for a few weeks now, and I'm so excited for Baldur's Gate 3. You know, RPG games are some of my favorite, and we've had a ton of news about this one come out recently. First of all, from the Larian Studios Twitter, the release for the PC version of the game has been moved up, and the PS3 release has been revealed. The PC version of the game will be available August 3rd, while the PS5 players will unfortunately need to wait until September 6th. You know, Drix, originally this game was going to be out August 25th, but the PC players, we're getting it super early, August 3rd.
Nice. Yeah. Give them something to enjoy.
Especially before Starfield.
Yeah. Get your D20 style on.
Absolutely. But, you know, that's not all, and these two games might be closer competitors than we thought, even with the release windows so very far away, because it's sounding like this game is going to be one to look out for from IGN. The headline is, Baldur's Gate 3 standard playthrough takes 75 to 100 hours, Larian says. Alright, so the Larian boss, Sven Vinicki, spoke with IGN and shared some very interesting information about the upcoming D&D AAA release. From the article, between 75 and 100 hours. That's what we're seeing, Vinicki said. That's not doing everything, though. That is just going to be a playthrough. There will be people who will be way over that, the ones who want to do everything. They will probably hit 200 hours, I think. On average, we're seeing people who are going through take about 75 to 100 hours. Drix, holy shit.
Meaty. Big honkin' meaty world. Yeah.
This game is huge.
Yeah. It's gonna live up to the legacy in the Baldur's Gate series.
Gosh,
come a long way.
Gosh, I guess so. You know, reading further, Vinicki says there are multiple ways of playing it, right? We saw that with Divinity, Original Sin 2, and it will be no different here. People who are going to be playing multiplayer, they'll take a year and a half. They will make their regular sessions where they play, like D&D. Drix, this is kind of a profound statement. Do you think that, can you see yourself or friends of yours possibly being like, all right, guys, let's play some D&D, but we don't need to like sit down at the tabletop. Let's just fucking play Baldur's Gate 3 for a few hours every week.
I got two mics on my head and you're singing to me. Don't you wanna karaoke? Oh, me, no, not me. I'm a karaoke machine.
I gotta say it right now, right here. I played the early access. I've been playing the early access since the early access launched. Me and my girlfriend. Back when this was originally a Stadia exclusive. And yeah, I gotta tell you, this game is probably the best RPG traditional, straight up RPG I've ever played, because so we've done it a couple different times. we've played with all player-created characters. 4 people in a campaign, all player-created characters. The character dialogues for the player characters, they are voiced. You do interact with one another at key moments in the story as if you are Mass Effect teammates. So, like,
wow.
There is built-in role-playing aspects of the game where, and you don't choose, one of the few things you don't choose at the very beginning in character creation for Baldur's Gate 3 is your alignment. Your alignment actually, we don't really know how it works, me and my girlfriend, but we assume that it shifts based upon your choices. And
yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, and we would have, but this is D&D, so your alignment will more than likely have a bearing on the choices you can make, especially if they're going to be interpersonal player character choices that happen between teammates that aren't just metagame, right? That's not like I'm on Discord talking to you while we're playing Baldur's Gate, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, we're actually role-playing it out in the game.
Oh, I got spurs that jingle, jingle, jingle.
That jingle, jangle,
As I go riding merrily
merrily
and they sing, oh, ain't you glad you're single?
Oh, ain't you glad
And
that
that song ain't so very far
and that
from
song
wrong.
ain't so very far from wrong.
So I'm super excited. Baldur's Gate 3, once again, coming out August 3rd on PC, September 6th on the PS5. We don't have an Xbox release date, and that was another one of those pieces of information that came out a little bit a while back before this big deluge of information. You know, they were saying, Sven and his crew were saying how they were having some trouble, Drix, getting this game to run on the Xbox.
Oh no. Really? The people who brought you the personal computer?
That's what I'm saying, you know? Like, huh? So you guys are getting this done pretty good on a PC, but when it comes to an Xbox...
Seems like a downgrade, huh?
Seems like a bit of a downgrade. I don't know. It's
maybe not somewhere you want to head.
Very interesting.
For what sounds like the best new traditional RPG, you know, that you can play on your computer.
Yeah, definitely seems like you're gonna want to even just try it out on your PS5 if you don't. If just does not sound like you want to play this on an Xbox. For more details before we get back to some jams, more details. Really quick from the Twitter: 170 hours of cinematics, 2 million words of dialogue. Thousands of characters, more cinematic dialogue than all 3 Lord of the Rings novels, 600 spells and actions, 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 5. That's impressive. 12 classes and 46 subclasses. Romance almost all camp companions.
Whoa, that's a lot of romance. That's definitely going to please the D&D diehards. Introduce them.
It's a lot of romance, folks. And you know what? That's a chunky, gonna be a chunky game, 100%. New Heights. Now. Yeah, right? Yeah, New Heights is a realistic...
This might be something a little different.
It's a little different. It's a little different.
Haven't seen anything like this. Can't say that I have.
I struggle to find anything that's as in-depth as New Heights. Because, you know, New Heights is a realistic rock climbing and bouldering sim hitting Steam tomorrow, July 6th. From the Steam page, experience free solo climbing and bouldering like never before. Go above and beyond on real cliff structures and improve your skills. Travel the world. Compete against your friends from the safety of your computer and more. You know, this definitely looks like a lot of fun. If you ever wanted more out of those the climbing games like Assassin's Creed or like Ghost of Tsushima or even like Zelda, you know what I mean? You see those characters, they just vault up these huge mountains
No, not how it would happen on a real rock.
Not really at all, you know. So that's New Heights. It's coming out tomorrow, July 6th. That's a Thursday.
As your body moves, it moves with mine. As you turn and look at me, your face is in the limelight. Your face is in the limelight.
There are a bunch of new releases coming out. A lot of them are ports.
Yeah.
You know, you could check it out for yourself. I think the biggest one is this Tough as Nails platformer called Garlic. It was a PC exclusive like a year ago. It's coming to every major platform. It's the only other real release that I can think of that caught my eye. But New Heights, realistic rock climbing and bouldering sim, headed to Steam tomorrow, July 6th, PC only.
Okay. Get ready to climb. Take that, Death Stranding. We don't need all your depression.
We don't need all that depression. No more misery porn for Death Stranding fans. But, and you know what? The better part about Death Stranding and the gameplay, I don't need to be an Uber Eats simulator.
Yeah, no. We'll go climb a real rock.
I'm gonna go climb a real rock.
Yeah, with open eyes, I define my direction and cast my light in time that shines my protection. I shed blood just to rhyme in perfection and move at God's speed, no time for reflection. It's evident in the movement that he steps with a monster has arrived. The kid on some next shit, benevolent with the flow, beyond weapons the style, beyond ripping the hearts for rhymes kept in. Shit.
All right, CFM Radio.
Getting a little spoopy with some pipe organ.
A little spoopy
From,
here.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
We love to hear it. This is a classic track, and it's a little bit apt because what looms over the horizon is going to be big for all of us game enjoyers.
Big decisions.
So we've been hot on the heels of the Microsoft versus FTC trial, which has wrapped. It's wrapped up, Drex. But while we wait for the verdict, we're left with so much to talk about.
Any legal battle is just a lot to decipher. I mean, we were like, oh, we should really hit up any lawyer friends if we want to.
Yeah, I tried. I was gonna see if I could get somebody on, but I couldn't get anybody who could law-splain this out to us. So
yeah, that can get expensive.
a little bit. So there's a lot of stuff. IGN has a huge write-up you can find online on their website that breaks down every day, I think all 6 days of the trial. But we're gonna look at one thing in particular tonight on CFM Radio, and that is the court documents revealing one of the biggest points and one of the biggest reveals was the budgets of some of these AAA games, Drix. Specifically, PC Gamer releasing an enlightening article with the headline that reads, quote, "Not sustainable. Developers across the industry react to The Last of Us Part 2's $220 million budget."
That's a lot of saltine crackers.
It's a lot of clams. From the article, former Psychonauts 2 developer Lizette Titre Montgomery noted that Sony spent $220 million over 6 years to make The Last of Us Part 2 before they saw a single penny in return, claiming that, quote, game teams this size for this long are not sustainable. Not, period, sustainable. Former Capcom and Xbox producer Shayna put that in further perspective, pointing out that means that the studio was spending $15,000 a month per employee on average, which doesn't necessarily translate to salaries, but rather reflects headcount costs at a total of rate of $3 million.
Yeah.
Whoa.
A lot of people. You got to take care of those people.
There's a lot of people.
You also got to keep them on task and make sure that task is, turns into a great game.
Well, you made me weep, and you made me moan. Well, you caused me to leave, child, my happy home. But someday, baby, you ain't worry my life anymore.
In the case of The Last of Us Part 2, that game, critical acclaim, Last of Us TV series, people love it, so, I mean, that $220 million clearly paid off for Sony and Naughty Dog, but we read further, quote, on the other side of the equation are the indie developers, many of whom would just love a tiny slice of those AAA budgets. Tsunade Ekanayaki, I might have butchered that, game director on dating sim Thirsty Suitors said, quote, $200 million plus development budget, $200 million plus dollars for a development budget of a AAA game to indie scale is wild.
Yeah.
Former Vlambeer developer Rami Ishmael said that I would need 1/10 of that to fund 20 to 30 incredible indie games by super cool devs around the world.
Bang, 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 bang! Vamonos, vamonos! Bang, bang, bang! Vamonos, vamonos!
I could tell you, Last of Us 2, the game, The Last of Us 2 remastered, The Last of Us remastered, The Last of Us TV show, The Last of Us Part 1 PS5. All of those things clearly balloon, like these people are saying, a huge part of that is marketing, a huge part of that is pay. That's not counting the technology, that's not counting franchise planning, that's not counting creative collaboration between Sony and Naughty Dog and all the other technology firms that they may or may not be using to make this game a reality. Drix, the moving parts are crazy, and I can see the $220 million budget being spent very easily. Games like The Last of Us are incredible. And I like The Last of Us. The story is controversial, right? I mean, I think the story is controversial for not the reason of the characters, but by the end of the story, the whole thing kind of just falls flat on its face, in my personal opinion. But, the theme of it just kind of falls flat on its face. But everything, it doesn't really matter because the package of the game of The Last of Us Part 2 is just really good. It's got the best true accessibility options I've ever seen in a video game. Colorblind mode, deaf mode, you know what I mean? There's so many ways that you can play this game and anybody can play it. Difficulty alterations, you could tailor The Last of Us 2 to any type of player that you are. So it's a big pioneer in the accessibility field. It's also a big pioneer in if you really want a gritty experience for a game and a cinematic experience, Last of Us 2. I struggle to think of game. I guess you could play Final Fantasy 16. To have that same kind of cinematic idea.
It goes towards that cinematic feel.
Lord help me save my soul. I'm trying not to lose control. I'm trying not to lose control. But I might have to let go.
it. You know, if it's one thing that games like Zelda, games like Final Fantasy 16, you know, these games, the thing that they teach us is that frame rate be damned. It can dip a little bit here and there, but as long as the cutscenes look great, it doesn't dip too crazy in the gameplay, in the heat of the moment, it's pretty good. And like, you know, The Last of Us 2 Part 2, from everything that I remember, didn't have any of those problems. even on old hardware, it didn't dip. You know,
Wow.
The frame rate
had their
stayed
code in order.
consistent. You know, it's with all those accessibility options. It doesn't matter how you feel about the game. It doesn't matter how you feel about the message. You gotta hand it to the people at Naughty Dog. They really know how to make a fucking game. Like, and then on top of,
Yeah.
but the indies also, they really know how to make games too. And I actually think they're gonna win out in the long run.
Yeah, or get eaten by Microsoft. That can always be an option.
We'll see, right? We'll see where the future of gaming goes.
Yeah, what kind of spot that case put him in.
You know, that verdict should be coming out soon, within the next week or so here.
Not public yet, huh?
Not public quite yet. We'll definitely see it though. And like I said, if you guys want to jump in, there was a lot of stuff. We've been covering it every week on CFM Radio, every week that we've been able to. Crazy stuff from Bobby Kotick, crazy stuff from Jim Ryan, crazy stuff from Phil Spencer, insane inner workings of the gaming industry at large.
You told everybody in the neighborhood what a dirty mistreater, that it was no good. But someday, baby, you ain't worry my life anymore.
In this hurricane of amazing releases and hype trains going off the rails.
Yeah.
You know,
Multi-track drifting. hype train.
multi-track drifting. You know, the industry is changing before our very eyes, and we're not just playing it, we're seeing it happen.
It's been brought to our doorstep.
Yeah.
And these decisions, we won't see the effects of them for years to come.
Yeah, probably for at least a half a decade.
Yeah, at least.
At least.
I know that you'll be back.